When words, thoughts and actions, they are in harmony, then these are the symptoms of a Mahatma. If they are separate, then it is not. So therefore, when Srila Prabhupada, he established ISKCON society, devotees could see on a regular basis that, he is going through the regimen of Krishna consciousness with as much sincerity as anyone else. Right? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he encouraged devotees to practice and preach. But he himself was also practicing and preaching rigidly and stringently. Like that. Like for example, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj mentions the story that when Prabhupada was in Juhu, he was sitting on top, talking to life members. And one relative of Brijratan, one relative of the Birlas, his name was Mohta, he came in and he offered obeisances to Prabhupada, and he said to Prabhupada that, I want your satsang. And Prabhupada introduced to everyone, this is Mr. Mohta. He's a powerful businessman. And he's one of the most famous businessmen here in India. So Mohtaji told Prabhupada that you went to America with 40 rupees and now you have 40 crore rupees worth of property all over the world. You are the real businessman. Prabhupada turned to him and said, why don't you join my business then? But then Prabhupada, everyone saw that when Prabhupada did not have anything, he was in adversity. Then Prabhupada got everything, he was in prosperity. But in both adversity and prosperity, his behavior and attitude did not change. He remained focused on practicing the process rigidly and strictly. So therefore, when one sees transparency in one's dealings and relationships, then one develops that faith and trust like that. So therefore, when devotees see each other free of duplicity, practicing what they preach, it creates an environment of trust in each other. So this creating an environment of trust is very important, because this is the currency which we will exchange in the association of devotees. We have come to ISKCON to gain trust, Shraddha. Adav Shraddha to Nishtha. So Adav Shraddha is little capital of faith. Nishtha is a bigger capital of faith. So ultimately it is the faith which is growing, which is the Shraddha which is growing. So this is a very important point. So therefore, Bhagavatam says that Sa Shraddha Dhanasya Vivardhamana Virakti Manyatra Karoti Pumsa Harer Padanasmrta Nirvutasya Samasta Dukkhapya Mashavukti. When you hear Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, Sa Shraddha Dhanasya Vivardhamana, that Shraddha increases. But when you have faith in people from whom you are hearing, and when you have faith in the process of hearing, Virakti Manyatra, and you are detached from other things, Karoti Pumsa, Harer Padanasprati Nirvutasya, then when increase in faith and detachment happen, one's remembrance of Krishna becomes stronger and more focused and intense. So therefore, this is a very important point, that the need of an individual is an environment of faith and trust. And Srila Prabhupada, at that point in ISKCON, by his personal presence, he created that environment of faith and trust, that people were willing to follow. So if that capital of trust is not there, we may not be able to, imitate. Like Yasoda-dulal Prabhu tells the story, he went to Prabhupada. He was doing bhajan in Vrindavan and he loved it. Prabhupada came to him and said, I want you to preach. He said, no, Prabhupada, Vrindavan is wonderful. No, I want you to preach and go to Sri Lanka. So he didn't want to go at all. So he told Prabhupada, Sri Lanka is a small country. What I will do there? Prabhupada said, okay, go to Pakistan. So he got bewildered. He said, no, Sri Lanka is better. Right? So he didn't want to do it, but he went. Because he had faith that he is my well-wisher. And if that faith is not there, and we try to push somebody, so the same effect is not there. So therefore, this is the beginning where there is an environment of faith and trust. Because many people may think, Prabhupada did this, and he pushed, and therefore, I can also do it. But that doesn't work. Okay? Good. So a community's expansion is unsustainable without Vaishnava Sadachar. So Prabhupada says, now I want that we shall concentrate on making our devotees Krishna conscious and ourselves becoming Krishna conscious and not be so much concerned with expanding ourselves widely but without any spiritual content. Just like boiling the milk, it becomes thicker and sweeter. Now do like that, boil the milk. So this is a very famous quote, everyone knows. You have to boil the milk. And in the process of boiling the milk, don't burn the milk. So we have to, practice the process in a way which is sustainable in the long run. So therefore, we find in these episodes of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Rup and Sanatan approach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they say, Vaman yeche chand dhorite chahe kore, taiche vanchamore uthe antare. That we are actually unqualified. But by your grace, just like a dwarf is able to touch the moon, we also desire to be able to touch glimpse of Lord's mercy. And can that be done? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Aji hoite duhar naam rupa sanatan, daine chhad tomar daine bhate muram. Mahaprabhu says, I initiate you, and on initiation I give you the names Rup and Sanatan. And after initiation, the first instruction Lord Chaitanya gives them, give up your humility. So what an exalted state Rup and Sanatan Goswami had. That spiritual master tells that what I expect from you, give up your humility, because your humility is breaking my heart. So one disciple asked Radhanath Maharaj, please give me blessings to remain humble. Maharaj said, first become humble. You cannot remain humble till you become. So therefore, boiling the milk means that we can't directly aspire that we will be like the Goswamis. But we have to go through the process gradually, step by step. Right? So leadership means setting example. The masses need an example to follow. And this is a famous quotation, Yadyat acharati sreshtas tat tat eve tarojana. Like that. So therefore, many times we may have come to Krishna consciousness, may be for other reasons. But in due course of time, we have to focus, at least as we are getting ready for initiation, we have to completely focus on why I have come to this process. We can't be in a confused state during initiation. Right? Otherwise it will create various trouble. Like there was one brahmachari who joined the ashram and he left after a few years. And while leaving, we asked him, any feedbacks you have about ashram or anything? He said, no, everything is great in the ashram temple, everything is great. Just Mangal Arati can be made 10 o'clock in the morning. That was his feedback. So, has he understood the purpose of practice of Krishna consciousness? The purpose is we are trying to please Krishna. So everything changes as per Krishna's will. So the timing of when I get up, the timing of what I do at different times, it becomes aligned with Krishna's desire. When Krishna plays flute in the middle of the night in Vrindavan, none of the gopis say, why at this time he is playing flute? Right? So one devotee asked me, Prabhu, when that day will come when I will hear sound of Krishna's flute? I said, I don't know when that will happen, but when morning alarm goes, you feel ecstasy. So you can know that probably you are in that direction. So therefore, we cannot expect directly the sound of Krishna's flute and everything, because we have a long way to go in following the process sincerely. Right? And then Prabhupada also mentions that just because we are part of Krishna conscious society doesn't mean we are transcendental. So Prabhupada says, but we should never steal anything like money, food, water, gasoline just to enhance our service. That is too much dangerous. If you are caught, then all our work is finished. And then Prabhupada gives some example of somebody who was detected by custom authority to smuggle some items. By this one tiny incident, his work is ruined and is practically finished. So one should not think that we are transcendental and we can do anything we like. So part of sadachara is not just following what is expected within the ambit of Krishna conscious rules, but also make sure that we follow what the laws and the rules are expected. Right? There was one devotee in our ashram many years ago who drive very rash. And there was no reason to drive so rashly. And that too, we had at that time only Maruti van. So if you have seen Maruti van, it does not have bonnet also. It is just the driver is there and straight. Nothing else is there beyond the driver. It's designed to send you back to body. You hit and then you're gone. So he was reversing, Radha Gopinath, myself and him were there, one more devotee was there, we had gone to somebody's house for program. And this devotee put reverse gear, and when he put reverse gear, in some of the cars in India, you have this Jai Jagadish Hare ringtone. So this Jai Jagadish Hare started singing in the reverse gear. So Radha Gopinath Prabhu commented, when reverse gear is there, car sings Jai Jagadish Hare. In first and second gear, we'll have to sing Jai Jagadish Hare. And pray for Lord Narsimha's protection. And then he went cutting through all signals. Every red signal he was doing by. And I was telling him, why are you doing this? Krishna devotees. And then one, Havaldar, policeman stopped us. And he said, "Kya Maharaj, signal dekha nahi kya? You didn't see the signal or what?" He said, "Signal dekha, aapko nahi dekha." So, Prabhupada is very clearly mentioning, we should never do anything which will be dangerous. And sometimes we say, why we are doing this? Just to enhance our service to Krishna. No. So this aspect of sadachara also needs to integrate, right? And then we have this example of killing of Romaharshan. That Romaharshan was giving a talk and Balramji came, and then Balramji felt that Romaharsha is not reciprocated properly. So he detected the pride. And then he took a blade of grass and killed him. So this is very intense, killing someone on Vyasasana. He's giving a talk on Katha Bhagavatam and he killed him. So Prabhupada writes, so in the translation, Balramji is saying, all this study has not produced good qualities in him. Rather, his study of the scriptures is just like an actor's studying his part. Why? He is not self-controlled, humble, and vainly presumes himself a scholarly authority. So therefore, if that does not result in producing the right qualities, then one should not think that my practice of Krishna consciousness is moving in the right direction. So therefore, Titikshava Karunika Suhrda Sarvadehinam Ajata Shatra Shanta Sadhavo Sadhu Bhushanam. So third canto Kapila Muni writes When we practice Krishna consciousness properly, divine qualities manifest. And what are some of those divine qualities? Tolerance, compassion, friendliness to all, Ajatashattra, not feeling enmity and envy towards others. Sadhavo, sadhu bhushanam, and a very beautiful word he uses, sadhu bhushanam. And sadhu bhushanam means medals. Medals of victory. So when someone fights in a battle on behalf of the government, then the government gives him medals of victory. Veer Chakra, Param Veer Chakra, Vishishta Seva medal. Right? So you get medals of victory for what? For fighting on behalf of the country against the enemies. So therefore, when we are fighting on behalf of Krishna, we also get medals of victory. Like one devotee wrote a book in which he mentions his story of how he was, forcibly drafted into the army, but he had no interest to be a fighter. And then, when he was on the battlefield in Vietnam with one of his friends, so there was a gunshot and his friend fell on the ground. And he thought the next bullet is going to hit me. And he became totally mental, thinking what will happen to my family, what will happen to me, this, that. So he picked up the dead body of his friend, placed it in front of him, and started walking backwards to his own camp. He thought even if the next bullet comes, it will hit him, not me. He's already dead, so it doesn't make a difference. So when he reached his camp, to his surprise, he found that his friend was not dead, he was alive. And luckily another bullet did not come. And the army awarded this devotee with medal for saving friend from battlefield. Gave him bravery medal. How you put your life on stake and saved him. You deserve a medal. And he writes that I did not have the honesty to reveal under what circumstances I did that. So one may be able to, sometimes cheat people of this world about what kind of intention and what kind of action they are performing. So many times our action may not reveal the intention. But when we are serving the Supreme Sarkar, there he sees everything. He sees action, he sees intention, and he will reciprocate accordingly. So therefore, sadhavo, sadhu bhushanam means Krishna then gives divine qualities to the practicing devotee as medals of his victory, fighting against material energy. That is the yajna. Yajna means the sacrifice. The natural tendency of the mind is to be distracted. The natural tendency of the mind is to go to 1 million places. Right? If you say, oh, I am distracted in japa, it is natural. But yajna, sankirtan yajna means we have to offer the ghee in that flame of sankirtan yajna. And what is that ghee? Is our consciousness, our focus, our attention. And therefore we have to sacrifice all tendencies to be distracted and try to be focused. And that is the yajna. And that yajna ultimately creates the result. So therefore, like I remember when we had joined ashram, just before that when we were in IIT, Radheshyam Prabhu approached Maharaj, and Radheshyam Prabhu used to chant various Vedic mantras before, Rudram, Chamakam and all those various Vedic mantras. So he told Maharaj, he said, Maharaj, when I chant during japa, some of my previous Vedic mantras are also coming in my mind and distracting me and affecting my attentive japa. Maharaj said, a very pious distraction. That is a very pious distraction. Wish more people had such pious distractions. So whatever it may be, the mind wanders. And so we have to hold on and bring that attention back to the holy names. And in general, we find that in the initial years of Krishna consciousness, we do tend to be absorbed. That means we are practicing the process better in the beginning years. But with passing time, we feel that because I have kept my mind under leash for so long, how long I am going to do it? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna's question, Shaknoti haivayah sodum prak sharira vimokshana. Arjuna is asking, how long I have to control this mind, senses and conquer the anarthas? Till when, my dear Lord? When is the retirement age? And Krishna says, prak sharira vimokshana. Till the soul leaves the body, till that moment, it's a continuous battle. So therefore, in response and reciprocation to that fight, Krishna rewards the devotee. And how the reward comes? The reward comes in the form of these divine qualities. So we should know that tolerance, compassion, and freedom from envy, and being well-wisher of all, these are not earned cheaply. These are not earned by shortcut methods. So whole lifetime of sincere, genuine practice is required, then gradually things will happen. So therefore, here, that's what is described, that Balramji was not impressed by Ramaharshan because he felt that he is not, showing those qualities which are important, like that. Right? So, here also we find this in the example of Sanatana Goswami, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorifying Sanatana Goswami, that Sanatana Goswami was telling Mahaprabhu, don't touch me, because you will become impure by touching me, because Sanatana Goswami contracted some skin disease. But Mahaprabhu is saying that actually very few people are able to uphold the principles of Vaishnava behavior. And those who are actually able to uphold the principles of Vaishnava behavior, they are able to generate the faith of the people in what real Dharma, Sanatana Dharma is. So he glorifies Sanatana Goswami for this. Right? So therefore, Prabhupada mentions that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself practiced Apani Achari Prabhu Jive Rashikhai. He personally used to practice himself the injunctions, and then he used to teach others. Right? Okay, so this is a very important point, that we have to understand the principles of time, place and circumstance in application of Vaishnava Sadachara. I think many of you must have heard this word many times. Time, place, circumstance. This comes often. Some of these words are very new when we come to ISKCON, but we use them often. Time, place, circumstance. Another is achintya, right? Achintya bhegade. So achintya. Why you are doing this? Achintya is inconceivable. So time, place and circumstance can be misused also. But the principle is, the sentiments of the people should not be hurt. That's the most important thing. And packaging the message appropriately while maintaining the spirit of parampara. And capable management means improvising without compromising. And purity and not the packaging is our core preaching strategy. So when Prabhupada was presenting Krishna consciousness, he was presenting without compromise. But many times it is felt that because Prabhupada is uncompromising, it means that you have to be harsh or do things in a way which will put off somebody. But Prabhupada, he presented Krishna consciousness as it is without any compromise at all. Somebody asked Prabhupada, Why you are calling this Bhaktivedanta Institute? We should call it Bhaktivedanta Research Institute. Prabhupada said research is already done. And the conclusions are published by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So no more research is required. Institute is sufficient. So at any point, even like say George Harrison approached Prabhupada and said, I want initiation. So it was a very lucrative offer to have George Harrison as a Prabhupada disciple. But Prabhupada, he at that point said, you are already practicing and you are doing service, using your music for spreading Krishna consciousness, so that is sufficient. There is no need for official initiation. So just imagine at that moment when one of the most famous musicians come and they are asking for formal initiation. How Prabhupada at that point, he can see that I have to be uncompromising because all the various expectations for initiation need to be met. And if that is not met, I cannot just give just like that. But at the same time, Prabhupada towards the end of his pastimes, he sent his ring to George Harrison and expressed his affection for him, created a close relationship. And to the extent that George Harrison was so touched, he gave the Bhaktivedanta manor as donation. And at that point it was said that, it can't be donated. There was something which happened and it has to be, sold. So he sold it for £1. Something like that. So actually, Prabhupada knew how to deal with situations as per time, place and circumstances. The Prabhupada was called for one, Kirtan in Avalon Ballroom. And that is a place which is very, very difficult to go for a sannyasi. And when Prabhupada went there, he saw different people dancing wearing dress of banana. So Prabhupada said, what is going on? And they said, this is banana dance. Prabhupada said, what is the meaning of banana dance? And they said, they just discovered, the hippies just found out that when you put some fire underneath some, banana peels and you smell it, you get the same effect as LSD. So therefore they are celebrating this banana dance. So when Prabhupada came back after the program, he was laughing and he said, in India I spent so many years, never knew banana had this use also. And then the devotees said to Prabhupada, the hippies have made us an offer. They will send us every day one box of bananas. In return, they want the peels back. What should we do? So Prabhupada started laughing. And he said that since they want to offer something to Krishna, that spirit must be accepted. And therefore Prabhupada agreed. So we should know that packaging the message appropriately while maintaining the spirit of parampara. So this is a big, debatable point on what exactly this particular thing means. And so in the morning, what Govind Prabhu was mentioning is very relevant, that everyone will have their perspective on what things should be when they hear something and they interpreted it accordingly. Like we were having a Gita course in our temple, 6 session, and one guy was attending that. So then, at that point in the early 90s, like 95, 96, I was doing Pujari service for some days of the week, so I was offering in the morning time. So this man came and said, I want to offer this to the deities because yesterday I heard in Gita course, whenever you bring anything new, it must be first offered to Krishna. So I looked into the packet, it was a pair of boxing gloves. So I said, you can't offer boxing gloves to Krishna. What is this? He said, no, I heard yesterday, whatever you do, you should first offer to Krishna. So I said, what you will do with this offered boxing gloves? Even if you offer, what you are going to do? He said, when I hit someone, they will get Mahaprasad of the Lord. So I told him, did you not hear the first session? What is the first session of the Gita course? What is the goal of human life? to spend time doing this kind of things? So, what a person likes, he hears that, gives his tika, tatpare, purport, and then uses accordingly with philosophy. In one program, I was doing kirtan, and there was this guy who was sitting there, and he could not even clap hands in kirtan. But after the program, when prasad was over, I saw him. He took some tobacco in his hand and he was clapping loudly. So I approached him and said, "अरे कीर्तन में तो हाथ नहीं बजा, तंबाकू में जोर जोर से ताली बजा. Tobacco, you're clapping very loudly." So he said, "अरे Maharaj, this is not tobacco. This is Sanjeevani Booty, which Hanumanji brought. And then when Lakshman smelled this, he got revitalized." I said, "Oh, where you heard this?" So my grandfather told me. So don't think anything negative about this. So the same philosophy can be used for rationalizing. So I think many years ago, one of the sannyasis gave a very nice definition of rationalization. Use of intelligence in the service of false ego. That is rationalization. Use of intelligence in the service of false ego. And therefore, we may think, I must improvise. But then you change the lanes to such an extent that you lose the highway only. So both of those things must be carefully protected. Like that. Radhanath Maharaj was giving a talk to the brahmacharis on Raghunath Das Goswami. How he was, drinking few drops of buttermilk in leaf cup, thrown in Vrindavan. So at night, Maharaj was going by and, one of the brahmacharis was having a leaf cup and eating something in that. So Maharaj saw that and said, "Oh, leaf cup, you're eating in leaf cup. You're like Raghunath Das Goswami." And then Maharaj looked inside, what was there? It was pasta. So Maharaj said, "Modern day Raghunath Das Goswami." So when we hear about all of these personalities, about how they did austerity and how they did like this, but all of those did not result in hard-heartedness. It resulted in a soft heart which was filled with love and compassion. So, phalena parichayate. So, someone mentioned that the way Saraswati Thakur established certain things different from the way Prabhupada established, and some of his followers may be doing details in a different way. So, the capsule color may look different, but the pill inside, the medicine inside, is it bringing down the fever? So if the fever is coming down, the disease is disappearing, that means the medicine is working. So therefore the external form may change, but ultimately we see by the symptom of how the transformation happens. Right? So how do you diagnose that in our community the Sadachar standards are deficient? So, we must see first of all that if our core spiritual practices and regulations are being followed or not. And we may use systems of reporting for vigilance. And there must be senior devotees or devotees in the community who are present, who are teaching by personal example. So in our temple, when we set up this stringent sadhana and very strong practice for japa. So at that point, some devotees suggested to Maharaj, "Why don't you go in the morning for morning walk? It's good for your health." So then at that time, Maharaj mentioned that, I am the one who's been pushing for this morning program standards and japa and in circles and everything. If I go for a walk, everyone will follow me. So that morning japa will happen in the beach, not here. So therefore, I have to set example for that, and so I also will be sitting and doing this Japan yoga. So therefore, this is important that teaching by personal example establishes, the whole principle strongly within our heart, right? And therefore, to that effect, we have also published a manual on Vaishnava etiquette and lifestyle. Again, one should not think that this is the only manual available. This is our own effort to make sure that some standards we try to establish from our end, like that. And this has been compiled by, Sankirtan Prabhu. He's a very exemplary devotee, and he's taking care of our guest department, right? And again, that's a great example that, he's so soft-spoken, so mild-mannered. Many devotees are wondering, in a brahmachari ashram where a lot of action is seen and, people also speak sometimes in a rough manner. How will he fit in and what service will he do? So Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj very expertly engaged him in receiving guests and establish the department of guest hospitality. So Saraswati Thakur says, anyone who comes to the temple is Paramatma Prerit, is inspired by the Paramatma. So if any guest comes, so the Lord is personally calling, so he must be received well. So we never had a department like this, but he took over this department, and since probably 1993, he's handling this. And he's so calm in his demeanor, so soft-spoken, so ideal in his own sadachar. We have all these big top businessmen, mind filled with anxiety and rajogun. They come to the temple many times just to sit with him. And they say, we don't even need to talk to him. Just by sitting next to him, the wind which blows against him and then hits us, we feel peaceful. Just by sitting next to him. And when he had joined, his mother had come, and they were both discussing in one corner in the temple hall. For 2-3 hours they were talking. So someone asked after their conversation, what were you doing? And he said, we were fighting. We were arguing. But the whole discussion was so gentle and so quiet, no one could even figure out that there was a major argument going on. So it is important that when people come in to our temples, they are received properly and they are dealt with gently by someone who is representing our philosophy, because that person becomes the face of ISKCON for that new person. So therefore, even if you have great structures, big projects, ultimately people will judge the efficiency and the effectiveness of your mission by whom they interface with, whom they interact with. And if that person is not representing properly, then ultimately you will find that people will have a wrong impression about ISKCON. So therefore, this is some aspect. We have a few minutes. Anyone has any questions? We can try to answer. On Sadachar.
Go to the story of Kalapahar. This question I have for a long time.
Hare Krishna. So the situation happened, the pandas, whatever they take their time, just to maintain the purity of the temple. They didn't want to allow a Muslim to go inside. Probably that was the intention initially. But then whatever has happened now in history, but because of that, sometimes it comes to mind that what was the purpose, why the Lord has created such a scenario, and what lessons we are learning out of that. Can you explain it?
Lesson is, even if you have to deny someone, you have to deny respectfully. You don't have to be aggressive about it, in this kind of situation. like guests who come to the temple, we can always be, respectful in our dealings. And I know so many people who were denied a second gulab jamun and they stopped coming to temple. Not because the gulab jamun was denied, but how it was denied. खाने के लिए आया क्या मंदिर में? So we depend on volunteers. There are thousands of people who come. So what do? We depend on volunteers. And not all of them are fully trained. So when they are serving, they are in their own bhav. Right? Some of them are in anxiety also, whether I will get or not. So you know that. So many times when we see the server is in anxiety, we make their plate and keep. So he keeps seeing his plate. So he's not in anxiety, he serves more. No problem. And people tell him, why you are giving so much? Save something for yourself. And Vaishnava Seva is Golo. So when someone is serving prasad, you may have made the best prasad. But the guy who is behind the counter, his acidity may be growing. And as he keeps seeing the line, and he sees no hope. And many times they really start speaking harshly and spoil the whole show. And people come and start complaining. Or like we have yatras or other events where we are supposed to have bands and coupons and this and that. So one time when the sponsor was there for the whole event, so I made special arrangements for him to eat another place. He wanted to show some humility. And he said, "Nahi, मैं जनता के साथ लूँगा." I said, "Arey Baba, don't put me in trouble. Have there because that is predictable environment." Once you go in that 2,000 people line, I have no idea what to do. Why we should have special treatment? हम भी सबके साथ, सब devotee मतलब भगवान के सब एक. So he philosophized and this and that. He stood in line. So we have system that when line opens before lecture is over, so we keep allowing and then stopping, allowing and stopping. Because only few people can sit because lecture is also going on. So when this guy came just at the gate, he and his wife in the ladies section, him at the gents section, they stopped. And he said, "Arey, my last one, just मेरे को ले लो बाबा, फिर दरवाजा बंद करो." Because he crashed the door right in front of him. Crack. I said, "रुको अभी, अब कब खुलेगा?" "आधा घंटा." "अरे but I have to catch a train and this and that." "Go catch train. Who's stopping you?" Huh? You think you are the only one to catch the train? All the guys behind you don't have to catch. Huh? The guy standing at the door, I had no idea this is a sponsor. And what I feared happened. So the wife became so angry, she caught out of the husband and "Chalo ji, nahi khayenge hum log." And she went. And they went to the car. Somebody came and informed me कि जो नहीं होना था हो गया. So I went, begged them, brought them back to that special area and fed them prasad. Then already damage was done, so I brought Radhanath Maharaj, made him give a gift to them through his hands. Then the wife said, now I understood why all this happened, because we wanted gift from Maharaj. It didn't end there. So I started escorting them. Then he said, I have to take my juta. I went to the juta stall. They gave the coupon. I gave the coupon, then that guy gave a chappal. And I told him, this is not my juta. So then I said, which is your juta? Then I had to enter the juta stand and search for 15 minutes. So as they say, Bhagwan dete chappar bhaad ke dete. Whatever wrong had to happen, happened that day. So therefore you may make the best relationships and PR and this and that. So one of the biggest anxieties in Chopar is taking care of special guests. Because we don't know which gate they'll enter from. And what they will bump into. And who will speak what. And then they're new. So they make their judgment based on that. So you can't avoid it. So it's very important that they are dealt with very gently and nicely. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.